Hi, everyone, and welcome to this video discussing Jupyter Notebooks. Some of you may have used Jupyter Notebooks prior to this class if you've had any exposure to Python, but for most of you, this is going to be your first experience. We're going to interact with Python and Jupyter Notebooks in particular through Google Colab, and the previous video that I posted walked you through getting Colab set up in your Google Drive. Let me know if you have any questions about that setup or if you ran into any issues. For now, I just want to go through kind of a first Jupyter notebook to talk to you about the different things we can do in Jupyter and Google Colab. What you'll notice is this for the most part, so this is the zero My First Jupyter notebook. You have access to that as long as you've copied the course notes folder for predictive analytics into your Google Drive. But yeah, this is the zero My First Jupyter notebook. It is just designed to show you the different things that you can do with a Jupyter notebook in Google Colab. It looks like basically like a Word document where you're allowed to type. You can have bold or italic font. You can have a bulleted list, a numbered list. You can have nested lists. But then what's really nice about Jupyter is you can mix Python code and mathematical computation in with your document, which you can't really do in Word. And so what we'll do is just take a look at the Jupyter notebook here. I'm going to walk you through kind of what we're able to do. And so if I double click into this first cell, this is called a Markdown cell or a text cell. I can type in here just like I would in Microsoft Word, and it sort of auto formats, and you can preview on the right-hand side. You'll notice in my first line, I have a hashtag followed by my first Jupyter notebook. A hashtag is just designed to identify a header. So it's like a section title or a chapter title. I can use additional hashtags to get subheadings and subtitles. So you'll notice as I add more hashtags, the size of the heading decreases. So this allows you to really kind of format your notebook. To type, we're allowed to free type anything we want. So we can free type. And you can see the updates on the right-hand side. You'll notice that there's no spell check here, which takes some getting used to. So we've got to be a little bit careful about spelling. I'll get rid of that. You'll also notice that in between paragraphs, I've got an extra white space. And that's because if I don't put the extra white space, Jupyter is not going to give me a second paragraph. So including a white space there helps break up text. We can type in different fonts. So if you want text to appear in italics, you can surround that text by a single asterisk on each side, or you can simply just use the buttons. So you can click on italics there, and Jupyter will format for you. For bold formatted text, you can surround by double asterisks, or again, if you prefer, there's a button for bold text. There's some extra formatting things in here. You'll notice like the hashtag was a special character. You're probably not going to have to worry about this, but it's worth pointing out. In order to get the hashtag to show up, I need to escape that character with a backslash. Again, you probably won't need to worry about that, but worth identifying. If you try to type a special character and it doesn't show up, it's probably a reserved character for the Jupyter notebook that'll have to be escaped. To create bulleted lists in a Jupyter notebook, we can do that just with a plus sign or a dash. All of these will do just an unordered bulleted list. To get a numbered list, same idea, but we can just use numbers. If I change this to letters, Jupyter doesn't recognize that a lettered list is a type of ordered list. So numbered list works. And then if you want to nest lists, you can use the tab key. So without the tab key, I just get a same level bullet. With the tab key, I get indented and second level of my list. So this is clear now that this is a sub item in my list. You can render any cell you want using the key combination Shift and Enter in Jupyter. That will take you out of the editing options and will format your code cell. If you want a new cell, you can kind of hover between existing cells, or if you're at the bottom of a document, just go to that last cell and you can add text or code. You can also add text or code from these buttons up here. It's your preference. If you choose to do the plus code or plus text button, what will happen is you'll add a cell right below the cell you're currently selected on. So here is a new text cell. You can hit Shift Enter to format that. So you'll notice there's it's not a requirement to have a heading at the top of each text cell. Using separate text cells can help you organize your document if you'd like. If you want to get rid of a text cell completely or even a code cell completely, there's this trash can. You can just delete the cell. Markdown documents, like I said, are a way to format text, but also to implement code within your notebook. So I have my next cell is called a code cell. I can get this by doing the plus code button. That's what I've done here. Code cells allow you to run Python code. In Python, a hashtag is a comment symbol. So anything on a line appearing after a hashtag will be ignored by Python. So if I didn't have any of these hashtags, you'll notice that the words are formatted kind of funky. Like with is highlighted in pink, is highlighted in blue. This is kind of a key that or a flag that you're probably not writing in a text cell, you're writing in a code cell. And we'd really like to have Python ignore these things. All right, so I'll put the comments back. It's just a hashtag at the beginning of every line. And now this code cell is just designed to multiply 2 times the quantity 3 minus 5 plus 8. So Python can work just like a calculator. And so I get 2 times -2 would be -4 plus 8 gets me 4. So Python is a powerful calculator. One thing to be worried about, or at least be cognizant about, is anytime you want to do multiplication in Python, you need to explicitly define that with the use of the asterisk. So the asterisk is the shift key with the number 8. If we don't have the asterisk, Python's going to complain to us about this error, int object is not callable. So what Python is thinking here is that 2 is a function, and we're trying to plug 3 minus 5 into that. So if you remember your pre-calculus or calculus classes, we have functions like f of x, and we're allowed to replace x with numeric values. That's what Python is thinking here. And so 2 is not the name of a function, and I can't plug 3 minus 5 into it. And so that's why the asterisk is necessary. So there's a code cell. We execute code cells the same way as we kind of run and format the text cells with this shift and enter combination. So here we can use the next code cell. Again, there's a comment at the top of this. You can choose to comment like I have, or you could say, hey, I don't really want this in a comment. I want this in a text cell. And then just remove those hashtags, because remember, the hashtag in a text cell isn't a comment, it's a header. And so here now I've moved my comment out of the code cell into a text cell, and now the document becomes somewhat more readable. It's a little bit hard to read that green text, or maybe not hard, but a little bit daunting, because it looks like it's part of the code. We can execute, again, similar, 2 plus 8 gets us 10. Here's another code cell, 4 plus 10 minus 18. You can have a comment at the end of a line. Remember that Python will ignore anything appearing after a hashtag on the same line. So if I tried to continue my comment, On the next line, Python doesn't know that you intended for that to be a comment still. You have to put a hashtag at the beginning of that line as well. 4 plus 10 minus 18 is -4. Here's a particular quirk about Jupyter notebooks, and it's that if I were to run this code cell, 2 plus 8, 4 plus 10 minus 8, and 8 times 5 minus 17, you might expect to get 3 separate values printed out. But Python is only going to give us the value output from the last line of code in that cell. If we wanted to have all of the outputs printed, we have to explicitly ask for that from Python. So if we wanted to print the value of 2 plus 8, we have to call print 2 plus 8. Then print 4 plus 10 minus 8, and print 8 times 5 minus 17. If we run this code cell, we get the expected output, which is all of each of the 3 results to those expressions. So this code cell talks about Python being really picky. We've actually already covered this. The error here, if you haven't caught it yet, is that we're going to have an integer is not a callable object. That means that we're trying to plug values into an integer as if it were a function. And this, again, I use 2. 2 is not a function that I can plug values into. What I really wanted to do was multiply 2 by the result of 6 minus 20. Adding in the asterisk fixes that issue. All right, so I think that's enough for now. What you've seen in this notebook and in this video is how we can use Jupyter notebooks, and Google Colab is the way we'll interact with those, to write text and to format text using things like bold or italic font, bulleted lists, so unordered lists, ordered lists, nested lists, and also to use code and execute code within a notebook. This is something that we're going to do really often throughout our course. All of our course notes are going to be written in this Jupyter notebook style. This allows you to play with code and add to the notes as you see fit. And then your final project for this course, in addition to some of the homework assignments for this course, are going to ask you to write in Jupyter notebooks. So you'll get really good at this by the end of the term. What you'll have at the end of after this video is you'll have a homework assignment that just asks you to build out your first Jupyter notebook. I'll post another video about how to approach the course content and how to utilize and leverage the materials I'm providing you. But what I'm encouraging you to do to complete that assignment is to come here to this My First Jupyter Notebook document and then identify how to achieve the objectives I'm asking you to achieve in the homework assignment, and then just kind of copy, paste, and edit to finish that assignment. And copy, paste, and edit will be something you're doing quite a bit here. All right, so that's it for me for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. Take care.